A new report from ESPN's Matt Miller suggests the division rival New England Patriots could potentially derail the Jets' draft plans just 4 picks into the 2025 NFL draft. Could New England really do this to the Jets for the second time in 3 years? We'll talk about that and much more, all coming up here on a Friday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, joined by our good friend Jeremy from Jets Chaos right here, right now. Let's do it.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer, and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
What is going on, everyone? Hello and welcome back here to another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Appreciate you all tuning in here on this Friday, April 18th, 2025. Happy Good Friday to all of those who celebrate. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe. Completely free, and it helps us grow significantly here on the show. That's the free way to help us grow. The paid way helps us grow just as much. You can get into our membership raffle. Every membership gifted or $2.99 super chat will get you a raffle entry. Prize we're giving away included Don Maynard signed photo, Joe Klecko signed helmet, Joe Namath Super Bowl III replica ring, a CJ Mosley signed jersey, a free item from our merch store, and a channel emoji. Make sure you get in on that if you haven't already. But that's paid. Get a raffle entry, but make sure you like, share, and subscribe, guys. That is completely free. Helps us grow significantly. If you have any questions for us, throw those in the chat. You can call into the show with the pinned comment. But nevertheless, joining me right now, one of the best Jets content creators on the internet. You know him from his own channel, Jets Chaos. You know him from Brooklyn Brothers Food Review. You know him from Talking Jets. It's our good friend Jeremy, who's kind enough to grace us with his presence. Jeremy, how you doing on this Friday evening?
After that introduction, I'm doing well.
Jeremy, appreciate you hopping on. As always, appreciate your support here on the show. Like I said, appreciate you sparing some time. Kind of just want to hop it right into it. This report that came out from Matt Miller today, that's really interesting because when we talk about the New England Patriots right off the top and their draft plans, as of late especially, we hear them being linked to a guy like, for example, Will Campbell Jr., the name we hear a lot. Another name is Abdul Carter, if he seems to fall. Travis Hunter, those are the names in the mix. But now we're hearing the Armand Membu buzz, and this is someone who's commonly linked to the Jets. This is what Matt Miller had to say in a new story for ESPN. Quote, I've heard talk that Missouri's Armand Membu could be the first offensive lineman taken before LSU's Will Campbell. The right tackle prospect has received rare reviews from scouts because of his elite movement skills and power in the run game. There is a belief that his agility could allow him to move to left tackle in the pros, which would put him in play for the Patriots at number 4 overall. Jeremy, do you think this is a real possibility, the potential of Membu landing in New England, and how do you think this would alter the Jets' draft plans?
Look, I mean, we don't know who the Jets are planning on taking for real, right? We only have theories. Obviously, it would take one of the major options or alternatives away from us. It's rumors are rumors. I don't know that. I personally, I would rather see Membu end up in New England than Abdul Carter ending up in New England. If we're talking as fans that are worried about the long term and having to play New England twice a year, I would hate to see Vrabel get Abdul Carter on his team.
Yep.
Right? Membu might end up being good. He might not. Remember, there's no blue chip tackles this season, in this draft at all.
There were many last year.
Right. And the reason what it makes a blue chip versus not a blue chip, it's not that, Membu might end up being a Hall of Famer. But the reality is, as a prospect, the blue chip is when there's barely the floor is super high, the ceiling is through the roof, Hall of Fame. That's what, the top guys like Abdul Carter. So if New England is going to use their pick to not take a blue chip guy and just take a guy that can get picked anywhere realistically from, I guess, their pick to pick 15, if that's how they want to use their pick and not trade down and not do anything smart, okay, we have other options. And I just think he might end up being a great player for them. But I think with the information and in the reality that we're living in, that's a terrible pick for them. If they're leaving Hunter or Abdul Carter on the board, it's a terrible pick for them.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think Abdul Carter would be the clear pick. This is someone they need off the edge. And when you look at New England's roster right now, obviously Miller referenced in his is kind of blurb there that it would be for Membu to slide over to the left side. However, they signed Morgan Moses in free agency. Is he a very, very solid starting tackle in this league? Definitely not, but you can get by with him. The offensive line's still a concern, but if you're New England, I think that's something you could beef up in the second round of the draft. A Josh Connerly Jr. type guy, a Ariante Ursary type guy from Minnesota. I think New England right now should really be looking at Abdul Carter, and I think that's who they're going to end up taking, because when you look at the way the board's going to fall, obviously Cam to Tennessee at 1. I think it's going to be Hunter at 2 to the Browns. I think Shadur to the Giants at 3 is still a real possibility, and then Carter's on a silver platter for New England. My question to you, to kind of stay with the topic of Abdul Carter, let's say he somehow gets past New England. New England decides to take Armand Membu or Will Campbell. Would you be open to exploring a trade up from number 7 to number 5 with Jacksonville to try to make Carter a New York Jet?
I mean, if they did it, if it didn't cost, if they didn't sell the farm, it's 2 picks. So I don't know what the price would be. It's hard to say I'd be mad, right? I mean, Abdul Carter has the potential to have an impact of the way Myles Garrett, the way JJ Watts, the way Nick Bosa, he has the ceiling to have that kind of impact on a team, which is it's hard to be too expensive for that, right? Max Crosby for the Raiders. I mean, you get a player that changes the game like that, you can't be mad. Now, we don't know he'll be that, but I'll tell you, I'll just say one thing. If they trade draft capital, which was really bad for us to do based on our needs and how many needs we have, if we were to do it, he better hit. Like, he better not just be good. He better be
he has to come in and be a top 3 guy. Yeah.
All pro, top of his position, right up there with those names I was mentioning. Right? Impact player, top 5 guys that a guy that's competing for defensive player of the year. Like, it better be that. Otherwise, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow. But if he's that, we'll deal with the fallout from that. From like what we had to give up, the positions we'll deal with that, because it's not in 2025. Maybe we'll be in some trouble, but in the future, if he becomes what his ceiling is, a top 3 defensive edge, that's a game. It's a franchise changing thing, right? We saw the Jets throw opportunities like that away in the past. Like Warren Sapp has been one that's coming up every time we get to this year in the draft. This time of the year, before the draft, we got to see the footage of the Warren Sapp.
Kyle Brady.
So it's hard to be angry at angry if he does it. Like if he made that trade, I would be curious and very concerned about the price of it. And then, like I said, he really has to hit. And I love Abdul Carter, and I think he will, but that would put a lot of pressure that he hit.
100%. I don't want to give up draft capital, right? Because I don't think this team is in the position. They're not a team that is coming off a winning season where they have 12 picks. They have 8 picks from rounds 1 through 6. I think this team has, I think you realistically, if you want to compete for a playoff spot, you need 4 legit starters in this year's draft. I know some people say 3. I think you need a legit 1 tech to play next to Quinn. You need at least 1 legit wide receiver, and you need a tackle. Though you need at least 3 to 4 legit starters to get out of this draft if you really want to make a push to the playoffs this year. That is the biggest thing. I don't think this team is in any position to try to trade up for a player, because I think, again, Jeremy, even if the Jets trade up for Abdul Carter and he's this can't-miss guy, does that significantly boost the Jets' chances of winning a Lombardi Trophy in year 1? I don't think so. I think this team has – go ahead.
If they made the move, it's what we would learn about this staff and the reality that we're in is that if they traded up to 5, it means no matter what they say about what they're doing in the locker room, we're not trying to win in 25. In the sense, not trying to win, but in the sense that move would be for the future. That would be if they made that trade. That's not they're doing everything they can for 2025. That is literally, we have a plan that's longer than a year long.
And one more comment from an insider I want to get into, Jeremy, is from Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer. I wrote this up for Jets X Factor, kind of throwing out Jahdae Barron from Texas. Cornerback is an under-the-radar prospect, kind of a curveball is the word he used, potentially be in play for the Jets. I like Jahdae Barron. I like Will Johnson. I like Jahdae Barron a little more. Health, I think he is better closing speed, like his versatility overall. I take all those traits over Will Johnson any day of the week. The thing is, you just signed Brandon Stevens to a $36 million contract in free agency. You have Sauce Gardner, who you're going to have to pay soon. I don't want to take a cornerback in the top 10 of this year's draft. You trade back to 25, you trade back to 24 with the Steelers. I'd be open to it. I'm not taking a cornerback in the top 10, though, unless your name's Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It would absolutely, to me, it's a catastrophic pick. I mean, it's like, what is that telling us? That they're not going to extend Sauce?
Yeah.
Because they just signed Stevens for 3 years. So what are you telling me if you do that? And if you tell me you're not re-signing Sauce and you let him walk and you're bringing this kid in, you didn't make the team better. So you just took yourself, because how much, even if this kid manages to be better than Sauce, how much better than Sauce is he going to be? So that to me is just taking the number 7 pick and burning it and throwing it in the garbage. That's absolutely would be, the kid might be great and he might be a perfect fit somewhere else. Where we are right now, this team, that would be to me a catastrophic pick.
Jeremy, another player I want to get into, kind of polarizing, the Ashton Jeanty train. Have the article here. Mark Ross of NFL.com had the Jets selecting Ashton Jeanty in his latest mock draft. Would you be open to taking Jeanty?
I don't like it either for a little bit of the same reason. I think we have a strong running back room, and I just don't think. And don't get me wrong, he's another one of those. I want to say there's a part of me, obviously, as a football fan, right? There's two parts of me. There's the brain that's trying to think about things in a calm, thoughtful way that says this is not the right pick for us because we have a strong running back room. We have other needs that are really important. It's a really deep running back draft. There's tons of guys in this draft. If you really wanted to bring another guy in, I could say all the reasons in the world, but the reality is if they did it, as confused as I'd be, as shocked as I would be, that's the kind of player where you're lying if you're saying you're not a little bit excited about what that would be.
I'd be 1,000% excited.
Game day would be pretty fun with that kid in the Jets uniform.
This is the way I've been thinking about it. And this is because everyone's all about get Tyler Warren in here, get Armand Membu. If you really think about it, Jeremy, what are the Jets' chances of winning the Super Bowl if they draft Tyler Warren or Armand Membu in the first round, and what are the Jets' chances of winning the Super Bowl if they don't draft any of those guys? Just do you think it's the same? Do you think either one of those players boosts the Jets' chance by any margin of winning the Super Bowl this season? By not any margin, because obviously you need pass catchers. You want to solidify the right side of the offensive line. But do you think drafting either one of those guys, my point is overall, this team isn't one piece away. I think if Ashton Jeanty's there, he would be the best player available on the board, unless the unlikelihood, which never happens, that Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter's on the board. I think he's the best player there. I think in this scenario, you strongly have to consider taking the best player available who boosts your chance to the highest pedigree of winning the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely. I don't argue that at all. I say it all the time. We are not winning the Super Bowl in 2025. And there are so many takes and so many people screaming and yelling arguments that seem to don't understand that. Like people are putting way too much emphasis on this year.
And Justin
Fields.
Fields.
We need this. And it's like, this is not a one-year fix. I agree with you 100%. It's not that it's not a one-player fix. It's not a one-off season fix. Like, this wasn't going to be Aaron Glenn comes in and he's taking over a team that can win the Super Bowl. It's not. We have way too much, right? And there's a small chance that you could pray for that Justin Fields is going to somehow have that magical Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold thing and suddenly be a quarterback we could live with for years to come. But the reality is the odds are we're going to need a quarterback next year. That's going to take up a valuable pick, right? And we have a lot of, we're not going to be able to fill, unless we get a lot of dream trades this draft, we're not going to be able to fill all the holes. We're going to go into the season with problems, things that we're not happy about, positions, rooms we're not happy about, guys that we're not happy about starting. It's a reality. So I agree with you 100%. If he's there, if Sanders is there, as much as I don't like the quarterbacks.
Oh no, I don't
want
agree
to
with
take
that.
a quarterback at all. I don't want to take a quarterback at all. But I think as a team, the personnel department has to look at everybody, right?
Yeah.
They have to look and consider everybody. We could go into a whole thing about Sanders. Why? I mean, I was just saying in my chat with Green Bean and all the guys, I was just saying that's a catastrophic pick. Like that could set the organization back 4 years. That could be like another,
because that you're not taking a quarterback next year, and Fields might not even start.
Right, because you're not taking a quarterback next. If you take Sanders, you're not taking a quarterback next year. And what's going to end up happening is now it's the Zach Wilson. It just kills the whole plan. And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
and then all of a sudden it's 2-3 years later, and you're starting over. You're firing the coach. It's like it's too much of a risk to reach for a guy like Sanders, who wouldn't even be in my top 5 last year. Not even close.
Yeah. Honestly, I really, really like Jalen Milroe, because think about what my mind when I think about getting a backup for Justin Fields, Jeremy, always goes to the Tyler Huntley, Lamar Jackson situation in Baltimore. Yeah. Huntley is not a quarter of the player that Lamar Jackson was, but they had a similar skill set in when Lamar Jackson went down. Their whole Harbaugh and the Monken, their entire offensive staff, they didn't need to change the playbook for Tyler Huntley when he needed to come in, because they had that similar skill set. Love Kyle McCord. Love Will Howard. Will Howard's my QB2 in this year's draft. If you draft Will Howard or Kyle McCord, you'd have to alter the playbook for when they'd come in compared to Justin Fields. You could draft a guy like Jalen Milroe on day 2 of the draft. Don't have to alter the playbook. He has a low floor, yes, but you're not asking him to come in and start right away for your team. There's the high boomer bust ratio, but he has such a high ceiling if you hit. And I think his skill set could complement Justin Fields really well. I know there's all the hype that he's going to go in the first round since he got an invite to the draft. I mean, if Jalen Milroe's sitting there at 73, would you be open to pulling the trigger? Because, again, this is another thing. If you draft Jalen Milroe at 73, you can still draft a quarterback in the first round of next year, especially if Fields flops. I think if you draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, you're locked into them. Thoughts on that idea potentially?
Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite thing, but it's digestible, right? If it's I'm not gonna at 73, you want to take your shot at the quarterback. I think that we have needs I want to fill, but if they love the guy, it's digestible to me. Like if they did it again, there are things like, Sanders at 7, I'm breaking my computer, right? I'm pissed. I'm questioning this GM. I'm questioning this regime. I'm saying this is probably going to be a really bad 3 years, and that's the same old Jets. And I'm really going to, I really would have those feelings. Milroe at 73, whether I agree with it or not, is not going to make me that mad, right? I might say, oh my God, you could have had Mason Taylor, whoever it is, right? Some guy that I like, and that I might be pissed about. But 73 is not catastrophic, because you're right. Next year, if this season is just a crap season, next year we very easily could still grab a quarterback if one of those guys that we're all excited about is there.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Any questions for Jeremy and I, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. You call into the show with the pin comment. We'll do a mock draft here in a little, Jeremy, because I know you're a big draft guy. You were down at the Senior Bowl, and we haven't done a mock this week. We had a draft analyst, Devin Jackson from the Philadelphia Inquirer, on yesterday. We didn't do a mock with him, so hopefully we can get one done today. Let's go into the chat and see what we got. Rover says, now that the Saints need a right tackle retirement, yeah, Ryan Ramczyk, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Their right tackle who's getting up on the older side. Can we afford to wait till round 2? I think you're saying a trade back maybe with the Saints. 2 spots, them trying to come up for a right tackle. If I had to make a guess what you're trying to say here, Rover, I don't think the Saints would want to trade up for a right tackle. I think they're going to stick and pick, and I think that's going to be Jackson Dart. But I think any scenario where you could trade down and accumulate extra draft capital, that's a win-win. That's a win for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, you also got to say, I think that with offensive tackle, Yes, we could definitely afford to wait till round 2. I mean, not that I think it's such a deep draft. I think that the tackle situation, the issue with this year's tackle situation is there's no blue chip tackle. There's no true top 10 draft pick tackle. Like all these guys are reaches. Like none of them belong in the top 10. Most years they would not be in the top 10. They do not compare to the guys that were here last year at all. But that being said, it's not that it's a thin draft in tackle, meaning there are a lot of guys. They're just not blue chip guys, right? So I think that will be tackles in the second round. And I'll go with, and I'll quote something that a lot of people say in the chat. A lot of Jet fans say this. I'm sick and tired of us always thinking we have to fill every offensive line position with a first round pick. Like you shouldn't have to pick all your tackles in the first round.
Jordan Mailata. Jordan Mailata is a perfect example. This is someone who was a 7th round pick because he played rugby. If you get a good offensive line coach, they can develop a player in any round. Jordan Mailata was a rugby player in college. And Jeff Stoutland, who is the best offensive line coach in this league without a doubt, turned him into an all-pro last season. You get a good offensive line coach in the building, you get a solid run game coordinator, you need to be able to hit on 4th and 5th round tackles. You don't need to draft that perfect point. You don't need to draft the tackle every year in the first round, and that's one of the main reasons. You just drafted Olu in the top 10. I don't want to roll the dice to – you can live with one weak spot on the offensive line, and that could be right tackle.
And it's definitely a reach. There's no argument. People forget that. They get so excited because those are the best that are available. So therefore they're top 10 picks. It's like, no, they're not though. If you look at their draft ratings and their scores and you score everything and you're doing it honestly, if you would have put them in a pool with the last 3 years of offensive tackles, none of these guys would pop up.
Not any player though. Like even Mason Graham, who is going to be a top 6 pick, 25, 30, I think he's ranked overall in a strong class.
Yeah.
Tyler Warren, 25, 30, that same range in a strong class. Membu, I think if he didn't have the crazy combine, he would have been in a late first round, early second round guy, excuse me. I think the mix of it is the weak class and people putting too much stock into the combine.
Yeah, it's very, very conceivable that one of these guys, whether it's Josh Connerly, whether it's Isari, one of those guys, or Trupillo in the 3rd round, or you trade the 2nd round, you trade back a little with the 2nd round pick. You trade back to 55. Maybe somebody wants to come up and get somebody. You go to 55, you get another 3rd round or a 4th round, like a pick in the 90s, and then you pick Trupillo, with that pick, and that makes it worth it because it's he might not last to 73 and 42 is a little too rich for him, right? So I consider him kind of like one of those, like a tweener.
Yes.
Like he's one of those guys we're not going to – it's too soon to take him in the 2nd round. We're probably going to –
That's like Trey Harris for me. That's like Trey Harris for me between 42 and 73. Like I think he's going to go in that like 50, 60 range, which is what a lot of the players the Jets are looking to covet. Jimmy says, if the Jets draft Jeanty, I'll pay for Connor's lunch for the month of May. Well, Jimmy, you might have to pay up depending on what happens on draft night. Depending what John Spytek does in his first NFL draft, you might have to pay out, Jimmy. Caden comes in. What'd you say?
I was going to say, that the Jets worked out Sanders, right? Shadir Sanders. They brought him in for a full workout.
They did.
Yeah.
Did Dom put that on his tracker?
I don't. He's the one that told me in our chat. But I think it's a smokescreen.
Yeah, I mean they bring in everyone though. I think they did that with Caleb Williams last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I mean, if we have any plans, if there's any hope that we could trade down for a team wanting to trade up for him, we have to work them out because you have to put the thought in their head that there's a chance we might draft them, right? Yeah.
For sure.
The more doubt you could put it, the more doubt you could put in the heads of the other teams, the better.
And I've always wondered, this is something that no one talks about, how the Jets even got a 5th round pick to slide back one spot with the Vikings for them to come up and take JJ McCarthy. Like I always wondered what happened in that war room, like what Joe Douglas was telling Kwesi and the whole Vikings front office that made them think that the Jets were potentially going to take JJ McCarthy, or the Broncos were trying to come up, and I still don't know how the Jets traded back one spot and got even one pick for that.
I was in the 1%, so I wasn't very loud about it because I didn't want to deal with the repercussions. But I have a guy named Tony the GM.
Yes.
And we would do those quarterback videos. And me and Tony wanted the Jets to, if it was us, we would have taken JJ McCarthy with that pick.
Really?
We would have.
If you knew he was going to deal with this injury, if you could go back today, you drafted him with the injury, would you take him over Olu?
Probably not with the injury, because
without the injury, would you take him over Olu?
Without the injury, before he was injured, like with that pick, I didn't yell it because I didn't want to deal with people. Right? You're an idiot. You're stupid.
You just wanted to live in the moment. Yeah, let's go.
I was saying I don't care that we still have Aaron Rodgers. I don't care. Like, I was like, when you have the opportunity to take somebody you believe is a franchise quarterback, you take them. Now, people might not agree with me on J.J. McCarthy, might not like the prospect, and that's fine. But as somebody who loved the prospect, I loved him. I had him as right up there with Daniels. I mean, I loved him as a prospect. I still do. I would have been perfectly happy taking him. I wanted it kind of. I was happy with Fashanu. I didn't complain. But part of me was like, we really should be taking JJ. Like, this team has never had a quarterback, and we have this opportunity to take this quarterback. But again, you have to be on the same page as me on the player. Like, a lot of people didn't like JJ McCarthy. They didn't see him as a top 10 pick. I just happened to be somebody who did.
Interesting. Caden says take Quinn Ewers. I among the day 3 developmental guys, Quinn is almost dead last on that. Like, I would rather take a flyer on. I'm gonna throw out a crazy name here, someone who no one has talked about. Like, I don't think he's gonna get drafted. He was in do you watch Gruden's Quarterback School? Jeremy, have you seen those episodes
Sometimes,
on YouTube?
Randomly.
Yeah, they're really, really solid. I've watched every episode of the series. He just had Seth Hannigan on from Memphis.
Okay.
Like, Seth Hannigan, Brady Cook. I would rather draft one of those guys in the 7th round than take Quinn Ewers in the 4th or the 5th. I'm not big on Ewers. There's nothing, when I look at Quinn Ewers, there's nothing he offers that just jumps off the page for me. Like, at least in Jalen Milroe, you get the freak athleticism. Will Howard, you get the crazy accuracy. Same goes for Kyle McCord. I just think Quinn Ewers is a bunch of meh. No crazy trait that's really going to hit at the NFL level.
You know, I have a theory, and Quinn Ewers kind of plays into that theory. I have a theory that if Matthew Golden would have been on Ohio State, it would be a no-brainer. He'd be a top 6 pick in this draft.
Wow. You just think it's the way Will Howard plays? Or is that praising Howard or a
detriment?
On
Ohio State, that system with Will Howard, who played great.
Yeah. And Chip Kelly, the OC at the time.
Right. I think playing at Texas, you know, and Ewers as his quarterback, I think definitely impacted in a negative way what that kid really would have been. I think Golden is, when I look at him, watch him play, I'm watching Garrett Wilson. I'm watching another Garrett Wilson. I'm watching an unstoppable, uncoverable freaking route runner. And if you put him in the right situation, he would have been as exciting as Garrett Wilson was in the draft, as any of these guys was. Dunze, you know, like, he would have been like any of those guys. But he played for Texas. I'm not saying it's a horrible team that he played for Texas, a horrible thing. But it just shows you what I feel about Quinn Ewers. I just don't think he's that good.
Interesting. I like that. Zach J comes in and says, he's a Lions fan, as you can see in his profile picture, says pretty much, would you trade for Hendon Hooker?
He's saying we will trade you Hendon Hooker. It's funny.
We will trade you Hendon Hooker. He's talking from a Lions perspective.
Right, from a Lions perspective.
I get this. Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm surprised. I mean, is he bad? Because I actually liked him out of college.
I like Hendon Hooker too.
Yeah,
I do. I would rather draft a quarterback. I really was on board for trading for Hendon Hooker right after the draft started. I really, really liked Hooker, that possibility. Just, I'd rather take my luck on someone who's fully healthy in this year's draft class and doesn't have that age, isn't on the last few years. And I mean, let's keep in mind, this is someone who's the backup quarterback all season long, and then push comes to shove in the playoffs and got replaced by Teddy Bridgewater coming back from coaching high school football. It's just, how high is Tanner Engstrand really on him? I was leading the Hendon Hooker fan club after they hired Glenn and Engstrand. I'd rather take my luck on a 5th or 6th round quarterback.
I mean, look, I wouldn't mind it as long as it was free, right? Like a very low, like if we traded a 5th rounder, then yeah, fine. You know,
well, yeah.
If we traded a 5th rounder, fine. But like, I would love it because if you trade a 5th rounder, it doesn't need to be a starter. He could be our backup, right, after next year for years to come, right? And it would go back as a good trade if he was a legitimate good backup, right? A 5th round pick is if you used a 5th round pick on a quarterback and they became your decent backup that was decent, that you trusted for years, you know, and you didn't have to worry about a backup quarterback, you'd be very happy. So, but would I want to trade a real, anything like lower than 110 in the draft for him? No.
Yeah, and by the way, for those who are wondering, shout out to Kaden for letting me know in the chat. I pulled it up. Darren Muji will be speaking to reporters on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. for those who did not know. So a little surprised. I'm surprised about this draft. I don't know if GMs are required to speak. So I think what the Jets are pretty much trying to do here is like, unless you're required to speak, unless the GM is required to address the media, I don't think they're going to do so. I think the whole thing is trying to say just stay discreet.
Yeah.
Do you like the whole mantra of not speaking to reporters and just trying to keep everything in house?
I mean, as a content provider, it's not as fun, but I mean, I think it's the better thing. I think it's the better thing. It's like, I think it shows, I think it's what I think the Steelers do, the Ravens do. I think it's what the better, more respectable organizations do.
Yeah. And I want to, before we get into the mock draft, I know we got to address the elephant in the room. I spoke a little bit about it yesterday. The Aaron Rodgers comments. You got any thoughts here before we head over to the mock?
I'm just gonna say I respected Aaron Glenn's decision. I mean, it told me that the playoffs were highly unlikely for 25. It did, but it told me that Glenn had a vision and that he was a strong enough person to stick to his vision, and that he wasn't a coward, and he was going to do what, fulfill the vision that he has. So I respect him for that. And I, as a Jet fan, I really, really hope that he does and fulfills his vision. And as far as Rodgers, I think him saying what he did and doing what he did is kind of typical of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he shows that he keeps proving that he is who everybody says he is. He's a guy who thinks he's above everybody else. To sit there and say that he should get respect in a meeting where when they ask him if he wants to play and he's under contract, they still kind of have the rights to him. And the answer is, I'm interested, and think it's going to be a negotiation where they have to meet his needs or have some kind of negotiation with him about it. The answer should have been, yes, that's why I'm here. I want to be a Jet. That should have been the answer.
Yes, exactly. If you're thinking about retirement, you are already retired. For those who didn't catch it, I highly recommend going back and watching Tom Pelissero's segment on the Rich Eisen show today. Spoke I'd say 5 or 6 minutes about the Rodgers situation. And this is what he said. It makes a lot more sense. And I'm sure Rodgers, there was a hyperbole that came with every single statement Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show. What Pelissero reported from what he heard is pretty much the fact that the Jets asked Aaron Rodgers when he would be on that side of the country, when he would be in New Jersey. And Aaron Rodgers was like, I'm here now. And they said, okay, stop by the building when you get a chance. And that's when they told him. Aaron Rodgers made it out to be they told him, you must fly across the country today, and we must have this huge meeting. And another point that Pelissero brought up that I'm going to kind of echo here that was a great point is, a guy like Mike Tomlin's a hard-nosed football coach. You think he's sitting there on the Pat McAfee show and nodding his head to everything Aaron Rodgers is saying? He's saying, no, why would I want any part of this guy who, one, is considering retirement, one, who was not a great quarterback last year, another thing, the luggage that comes with him, doing the appearances on the McAfee show, the media, everything that comes with Aaron Rodgers, the luggage that he brings to the table, and most importantly, exposing a private conversation on a national television show that happened behind closed doors. I don't think that's something Mike Tomlin looks at and says, that's the guy I want on my team.
Yeah, just the fact that he spoke about it, there's no question. That automatically made me realize Aaron Glenn made the right decision. Quarterback's got, yeah. I mean, but it makes so much sense though, and I that's when as soon as he was released, that's what I thought the reason was anyway. I always thought from the very beginning, how do you bring in a rookie regime like this rookie coaching staff and deal with that? Deal with a guy that the players in the locker room are going to be looking to him, and it's gonna undermine your authority.
Exactly. Glenn is asserting his authority here, and that's the biggest thing. I think Rodgers just pissed off that there's a new sheriff in town. Someone came in and asserted their dominance over him. I think that's the way Rodgers looks at it. Flat out. Like I said, appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe.
It's like Aaron Glenn. It's like you see with dogs. Aaron Glenn jumped on top of Aaron Rodgers and started humping.
Smash the like, hit subscribe. Get all your questions in the chat for Jeremy and I. Jeremy, let's fire up a nice mock draft here. A little less than 1 week away from the real deal, which will be taking place in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Fired up. Ward, Sanders, Graham, Jeanty. It's not that I can guarantee you it's not going to go in that order, but those 6 guys will be off the board by the time the Jets select it at number 7 overall. So Tet's there. Campbell's there. Barron. Let's see. Membu. Let's look at the trade offers. This is annoying. When I go full screen, I got to bounce out for a second just to see the trades. Bengals at 17, Browns at 33. What are you thinking here, Jeremy? Are you open to exploring a trade down to 17 with Cincinnati?
If I'm the GM of the Jets, I'm talking to everybody who wants to talk.
Okay, so
without question, but I'm going to be aggressive in what I want.
So Cleveland at Cincinnati at 17 or Cleveland at 33. Is there any prospect you want to take? What do you want to do here with this pick?
I mean, is Warren gone in this scenario?
No, Warren's here.
Oh, okay. So Membu and Warren are still there.
Tet's there, Cam.
I mean, if we have to pick here, there's so many guys I'm okay with. The only guy I don't like here is Will Campbell.
Yeah.
It's the only
Taking
guy
a guard.
McMillan is risky, but man, Tet McMillan would be an amazing payoff.
Love
if
Tet.
He hits.
Love Tet.
Yeah, love the kid. You know, there's an edge left I love. I mean,
Mike Green. I love Mike
Green. I love Mike Green. Tyler Warren, I'm fine with. Membu is a reach. I acknowledge it's a reach. I have no problem. Very easy for me to acknowledge that he is definitely a reach, but I'm okay with it as a reach because of the position and because of how strongly I feel about offensive line. Like, again, I don't know if it's what I would want to pick, but I'm not going to be angry. I'm going to say, okay, at least they addressed an important position. There's so many ways we can go here, but I would definitely look at the Bengals and say 17 is not a bad place for us to pick.
Yeah, what would you it might not get accepted. It's worth a try, though. A pick swap here, 49-81 in next year's 2.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I would. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They accepted that? Wow. I do that in a set. That's a great trade for us. We get 2 picks now, and then we get more ammunition next year. That's beautiful.
Yep. So you think about that second-round pick in next year, which is already we're hearing a very, very deep draft class, that you could either get a solid talent in round 2 or you get your more extra ammunition to trade up for a quarterback.
Exactly.
Exactly. I think building up capital for 26 is the biggest thing. Any scenario where you can get an extra 1 for next year, you pounce on that right away. I don't care if it's a slide down in the 30s.
Yeah, if Pittsburgh offers us, like, if that dream happened, if Pittsburgh came and said, we'll give you our 3rd round pick this year and next year's first to swap picks with us.
Yeah, any day of the week.
They
came up for Membu, Campbell, Barron, Tet, Campbell, Golden, Walker, Johnson, Williams, Warren, the pick before us. All right.
Mike Green is still there. Kenneth Grant is still there. Abuk is still there. I'm telling you,
Jeremy, edge is such an underrated position in need.
I know. And Mike Green is look
at this. Look how complete he is.
I know. I saw it was the one rep at the Senior Bowl. He won.
He's so explosive.
He won me in 1 rep. I saw that rep and said, anybody who can do that has.
He's so explosive. It's great. Again, James Pierce Jr. is someone I like. He was just kind of hidden in Tennessee's defense. I don't want to do that. Loveland. Yeah, Loveland I really, really like.
Yeah, look, Loveland is a perfectly acceptable pick. I have his ceiling being a little bit higher than Warren. I think I would pick Warren. I like Warren better because Warren has the higher floor. But if you're talking about ceilings, like if both of them, who has the higher ceiling? Who has the potential to be more like Kelsey or Kittle? Like if you had to pick, I would say that Loveland might have the better chance to be that.
As a receiver, certainly. Like the body control's insane. His shiftiness, contested catchability. I really, really like Loveland.
He's very underrated in my opinion. I don't think, I'm not saying he should be discussed. I still have Warren as number 1 because I think he's the safest pick. But I think Loveland is very underrated. I think he could
Senior Bowl warrior right here.
Yeah,
Grace Abel.
He did so good. Let me tell you something. He did great. He did really. I think he's definitely be a guard in the NFL. Even though they say he's a tackle, I think he'll definitely be a guard. But he really, North Dakota State. You look at a guy like that. He comes to the Senior Bowl. You want to see how he's going to do against the tough competition. And he looked good, man. He belonged.
For sure. So we're kind of between Green and Loveland right now. Where do you want to go here?
Wow. Or Egbuka.
Okay, you want to throw Ibuka in there?
Yeah,
yeah. I'm a little bit lower on Ibuka. I
Okay.
have him personally as my wide receiver 3. I have Higgins ahead of him. I mean, there's nothing against Emeka Ibuka. I like his shiftiness. I like his ability to get himself through traffic, weave through space. I wouldn't hate it. Like, the Jets draft Emeka Ibuka here. I'm not gonna go crazy on draft night. What I will go crazy at is if they trade back and take Josh Simmons. That's what I would go crazy at. I'd be crazy if they take Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant at 7. I wouldn't hate Ibuka.
Right. I got you.
I think I love Green as much as I love him. You have to go an offensive player, though. I'm still sticking to that, although you trade back.
I agree. And I think that it's time for us to end the madness and the insanity of this. I grew up with Mickey Schuler as my tight end, and I got really spoiled, and I just assumed that you'd always have a good tight end, right? And we really have never, we had little spots and where it was okay, but we never really filled it.
Dustin Keller really was the last one.
Right. But we never really had the guy. And
exactly. You had a bunch of guys, yeah, not the guy though.
And Loveland, it could be the next generation of along with Brock Bowers. He could be the Kittle to Bowers Kelsey. Loveland could be that top 3 tight end in the NFL, in a couple of years. And I think that we at least need to try and get that at some point.
You want to go Loveland?
Let's just do it. Let's go Loveland. We can meet the other position. We have enough picks now, so
let's do it. Green went 19 to the Bucks, and we're back on at 42. Then we got 49, 73, 81. We got in that trade back, Jeremy, that yielded us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks in the top 82.
Wow,
that's
pretty
the
amazing.
Dream. Norman Lott, like him as a player, and he's a one-tech type guy. Top 30 visit with the Jets.
I love him. I picked him last night in the draft.
Explosive. I like. At the same time, we took a pass catcher, so I wasn't going to go Higgins. Like Morrison, the injury scares me though.
Ooh, what do you mean you're not going to go Higgins? I'm pretty excited to see Higgins there.
I'm just saying we took a pass catcher, so I don't know if you want to double up on pass catcher right away. I'd be open to it though.
You mean like if we're thinking real life, they might be saying, okay, well we got a pass catcher, and we got what's his face back. We got even though he drops everything.
And Lazard.
we got Lazard back, so we'll wait till next year and we'll get another wide receiver next year. That's possible.
Princely, this guy, Jeremy, got him in the 3rd round of Kuiper's mock. He's not falling to 73 though.
Yeah.
This guy is a really, really productive player.
Yeah.
Like his explosiveness. We were just talking about how edge is a position of need. We didn't want to go Green in the 1st round because we wanted to go offense. You want to roll the dice on Princely from Ole Miss here?
I have no problem doing that. I have
let's hit that.
No problem taking Princely here. I watched a lot of film of that Ole Miss LSU game. LSU has a pretty highly regarded offensive line. Obviously, we all know. And I don't know, Princely looks pretty good to me.
Yeah. All right.
My receiver up there. Kyle Williams and Royals are still. Oh, I see a right tackle up there still.
Ursary.
Yeah, that's actually a steal.
That's a steal. Oh my! This is a dream first 3 picks. We have to take Ursary here because look, you get your starting tight end. Boom. You get the edge rusher to ensure you behind Will McDonald after Jermaine Johnson's injury, and you get your starting right tackle. 3 starters come in the first 3 rounds.
I mean, 2 of them in the trenches. Which is
and then your pass catcher. So you
right.
dress trenches and you get a pass catcher. This is great.
Huge.
And then boom, you got 2 more picks in the top 82.
Right. We still got 73 coming up, which is pretty freaking exciting.
And then 81. Yeah. All right. This draft's coming along nice.
Hopefully a wide receiver will slip. Oh no, but look at that. If you want your safety, you want your strong safety.
The injury scares me. That's what I'll say.
Okay, that's fair. There might be, and Jonas Sankis, might
yeah, I like Saker a lot.
Royals being up was
Harris.
You like Harris, okay?
I really, really like
I'm
Harris.
cool with that. I'm Dom C gave me a big sales pitch on Royals. Noel's still up there. Wow, there's a lot of wide receivers up there.
If we didn't take Princely, Elijah Roberts would be my pick here.
Oh yeah,
from SMU. I really, really like Elijah. He could help replace JFM. Jeremy, he projects as kind of a tweener in a 4-3 style.
absolutely.
Can play over the guard, can play over to the center, plays on the outside. I really like
True edge.
Roberts.
He's a true, like in the sense of sealing the edge, you know.
I took Lathan Ransom in my Jets X Factor mock. You can get your safety here, Bald Hawker, and then that's 4 starters literally for you in the first 4 rounds.
Yeah,
and with your first 4 picks.
There's some wide receivers up there, man. I'm telling you. But you know what? With so
Royals.
Many,
okay, which wide receiver? I'm curious.
With so many of those guys, I mean, to me, it's a crapshoot. I mean, I think they all have potential to be great. I think Royals is very underrated. I think he might end up being very, very good in this league. I think that Noel might be great. I mean, he's like he's built like a Garrett Wilson. Matt Golden type of player. Like he's a crisp route runner, quick guy. He's just not as seasoned as those guys, and he comes from a smaller school, but his ceiling is along that path. You know, that's what, you know, that's his ceiling. He might be a complete washout, but he's an exciting prospect. And so you look at Noel, and then you got the guy everybody loves, Kyle Williams. I mean, that's if you want a guy who can, you know, if you just want pure speed. You know, want a guy who can, you know, and I know in Detroit,
the fast riser always scares me though.
Yeah, they like that in Detroit though. They went for a speed guy.
Mm-hmm.
They had a speed receiver on that team. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that means to me we can get another.
I think there's even a case to be made for a guy like Jalen Noel here on this list.
Yeah, no, this is who I mean. Like his ceiling is. His style of play and his strengths are in line with Garrett Wilson, Golden. He's that type of wide receiver. He's just not as good. Like there's more risk to him. He's obviously not as proven as those guys, which is why he's not rated as high. He's rated high in other people's other websites, though. You know, there are analysts that have him as an early second-round pick.
I don't really look at big boards because a lot of it's like just what people think. I look at the consensus big board from a mock draft database. It's a great tool. They take like over 1,000 places that do mock drafts and they put it all into one algorithm, and it really gets like a solid idea of where everyone's gonna go. That's what I personally use for the rankings here. Who would you take? Who are you gonna take here?
Well, I would think at this point we might be able to get a wide receiver with the next pick if this many guys were still on the board. So
we're back on an 81.
I might wait on wide receiver.
So what about Makupa?
That's what I'm looking at is that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at
Makupa or Winston. Makupa has the higher ceiling to develop into a starter and be a ball hawker. The biggest thing is tackling. I think you can coach out tackling. Like look at that missed tackle rate, 14.4. That's concerning. I think that could be coached though. Like he has the intangibles to be so great at the next level.
Look, I mean, if you know Aaron Glenn and the type of player he was, and you imagine in your head who he'd pick here, he probably would like Makuba. And the injury scares me too.
Yeah. Do you want to take him?
But they're also, where's Jonas Sanka though? Where do they have him ranked? Is he just far back?
This Sanker 115.
Oh, they have him way back there. Okay. I mean, I don't know how they feel about Sanker. If the Jets pick Sanker in this spot, like if this was real, I'm just going to say it wouldn't shock me and I wouldn't be pissed. I'm just going to say that.
All right. The third round.
I think McBuka might be the safe pick.
All right, bet. Let's go.
Right, I think that's going to be the one most fans want.
Let's go Andrew Makupa there. And then, yeah, great point. Let's see if any of the wide receivers have.
Makuba,
and we still look, every receiver is still on the board.
There you go. The receivers. I think at this point, people are going to jump off a building if you don't pick a wide receiver.
Yeah.
You love Trey Harris. You love Trey Harris. Grab Trey Harris.
You like Harris?
He's fine. I mean, I these guys are again, I don't feel strongly enough. Like if you love Harris, I mean, if the Jets took Harris and that's who they love at this point, any of these guys could hit. I don't know who it's going to be, who it's not.
I mean, he was like literally is the only reason Jackson Dart is getting first round buzz. Like
Right,
he
I
was
mean,
the guy who
yeah,
was the glue of that whole offense. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
want someone
He
with
made
experience as a legit wide
he
receiver.
made that system work. When you talk about an RPO one read system design plays, who was the wide receiver that was on the other end of those plays?
Trey
Like who was
Harris,
the
yeah.
guy? It was Trey Harris. So
We're back on at 110. Then we got 145, 162, 186, 207.
look at Kyle Williams is still up there.
Yeah.
You know what we always ignore? A lot of people in a lot of drafts, and it's a position of need, is linebacker.
Yeah. I've Kobe King in the 5th round, Jeremy. Heavy
Okay,
hitter.
those guys. Okay.
He adds, I put that in my mock draft. Heavy hitter, 6'1", 248 pounds. Adds some beef to a very, very light linebacker room. Downhill stops the run. That's my guy. Jeremy, my pick is someone who you met at the Senior Bowl. Harold Fannin Jr. I don't care that you got Loveland in the first round.
I love it.
I don't care that you got Loveland in the first round. You take Fannin Jr.
You know what
this
the
guy's
argument
insane.
right there is? That's the same thing as the Ravens taking Isaiah Likely.
Yep.
Same thing. The argument is you can never have too many weapons.
Exactly. He's more than he's a big bodied receiver if you think about it. Who's going to force missed tackles? You can put him everywhere. He's going to be the safety net for Justin Fields. Watching his tape, Bowling Green used him on screen passes. They used him in line. They used him on chip and releases. Yeah, Fannin Jr. I mean,
if Malachi Corley doesn't work out, this is the guy that makes it all okay.
Yep, Harold Fannin Jr. Bowling Green. That's the pick.
Can you imagine having him in Loveland? Like, wow. Either of them could be tight end one as far as receiving. Loveland is definitely your inline blocker, right? Like in your blocking tight end.
I think Fannin Jr. has better technique. He's just 6'3", 230. Like technique doesn't matter if you're 6'3", 230.
He's just a big, strong guy. Look,
yeah.
I mean, look, he's your slot, and he's like a bigger, stronger Lazard, except he doesn't drop the ball.
All right, did we get an interior guy yet? We haven't.
Imagine a Lazard that's even a little stronger, even a little bit better as a blocker, but doesn't drop the ball.
I like Cameron Jackson in this range because, I mean, just look at his height and weight. 6'6", 342.
Oh, is this the DT?
Yeah. This is not the guy you're thinking of, not the Watson guy from Florida, though.
No, that's the linebacker, right? Yeah.
No, Watson's the 425.
Oh, no. Yeah. I
440, something crazy like that.
It's a novelty.
Yeah. I'm thinking Jackson because we've addressed every need except interior defensive line.
I think you have to, I mean, even if we don't get, I think you have to, even if he doesn't turn out to be the guy, and we're just going to use the combination of the fatty from Kansas City and, LT3 in passing situations. I think you still have to have someone. You have to be developing guys. You have to be trying to get the next guy, up. So, yeah, if this is the guy you want to take a flyer on, go ahead.
Big body guy, plug in the middle, one tech next to Quinnen. That's the
And you know what? You said the magic words. When you're talking about a one-tech defensive tackle, you're not supposed to have to pick them in the top 100.
Mm-hmm. Williams still.
Green Bean says it all the time. Wait to the 5th and 6th rounds and get me a big fatty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Williams still there. Let's see.
Wow. If we didn't take safety already.
Yeah.
Jalen, the Reed guy, is still there.
Yeah. Love Cody.
There's your
Simon.
Kobe King.
Love Cody Simon and Kobe King.
Okay.
I really, really like both of them. Is there anyone you're leaning more towards here?
I mean, I definitely want a linebacker.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't do a tremendous amount of film watching. I didn't focus on that position very much. So if you're saying you love Kobe King, it is Penn State. They are linebacker university. So,
There he is.
That's your
Kobe
guy.
King. Yeah. I love both King and Sideman. I just think that adding beef to this linebacker room and ensuring depth behind Quincy and Jamian Sherwood and like Zaire Barnes is not a viable NFL safety from what we've seen. I mean, linebacker, excuse me. You need to get a legit linebacker 3, and I think King offers that. All right, 2 picks left. McCord's still there. Would that be worth a round 6 flyer?
I wouldn't mind. I don't care if they want to take a flyer on McCord.
This is the guy apparently who's been climbing up boards recently, and the Jets had for a top 30 visit, Cam Miller.
Oh, these North Dakota, they're a running team.
Yeah, the FCS players I can't stand.
At least they didn't put him up in the top. At least they didn't make him a top 10 pick, and that you traded up for, like in Trey Lance.
That was crazy.
I mean, obviously, there's a sentimental lean of R.J. Mickelson. He's not gonna. So now Tyler Show is not gonna be there in real life.
He's gonna be a first round. I think he might be a first.
Yeah,
round
it's ridiculous. I mean, there's no way he's making it past the second round, right? I mean, so he'd be the obvious pick. I think but he would have been the obvious pick for other teams. I mean, not that Tyler Show is going to end up being anything. I'm not like guaranteeing that or saying or making that claim, but he definitely has put up film and a performance at the Senior Bowl that warrants taking a flyer on.
I just don't think he's going to be here, so I think we should evade that perhaps. Yeah. You want to take a let's see, Reed. No, they don't even have this missed tackle rate posted. That's what I wanted to check out.
There's
9.1 for Hancock. I think you want to get a sure tackler. What is he? 6'1", 195. Maybe he could be more of your strong guy.
We still need that.
So you get your strong safety here?
We could definitely do that.
Yeah. We addressed every need here, really.
I'm sorry?
We addressed every need here, so you might as well try to get your strong safety guy in here.
Yeah. I would look now at cornerbacks and see, did anybody slip? That's, maybe did Tommy Hill slip by any chance? Or
Longer Beam from Rutgers is a name to look out for. Za Frazier is someone I've heard a lot about recently.
Tommy Hill.
You like Tommy Hill?
Well, Tommy Hill's he's a crush that I have from the Senior Bowl.
So take him. We'll take him.
Yeah, he just caught our eye, and right. It could have been just a couple of good days, and we don't know, but he definitely caught our eye. We were
okay. So yeah,
Tommy Hill.
Nice. Jimmy Horn's interesting from Colorado. Him and LeJante Wester, two names to look out for from Colorado, where they ultimately go in the draft. Gadsden's another one, a big-bodied wide receiver from Syracuse, although he's listed as a tight end. Curtis Rourke, another interesting player. Great pocket passer, no mobility, though. That's the thing that's going to kill him and why I don't think he's ultimately going to be drafted. Let's check it out, though. Oh. They gave our Loveland pick a D. They said we should have taken Walter Nolan. All right.
I couldn't care less about it. I can't stand their grading system.
Princely with a C.
Their grading system is basically, if you don't agree with us, then we're going to give you a bad grade.
Exactly. Ursary C+. Oh my God, these grades are crazy.
That's crazy. He's a steal at 49. Yep. He's a steal.
Magupa B. Harris A.
They like Harris. Okay.
Fanning Jr. B+. Jackson B. King C. Hancock B. Tommy Hill D. We finished with a B+. Hey, we went above average.
They forgot about something, though. Okay, let's look at these. Think about those players that we just added to this team, right? The positions that we addressed. Keep in mind, we also got a second-round pick.
They don't grade the trade down, correct?
Right.
And a third, and next year's second.
Right. So now we just filled tight end with tons of talent. We got ourselves a wide receiver that might be very good. We're going to find out, right? We got ourselves, I think we did pretty good.
100%. Appreciate tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Jeremy and Connor here with you guys on NY Flight Jet Stock. Going to stay on here a little longer, answer your questions, take your calls. But Jeremy, can't thank you enough for sparing some time for us. As always, you got any final thoughts here before we wrap up?
Final thoughts is, guys, we're 5 days away. And whether we agree or disagree, whoever argued, it won't matter. The Jets are going to do what they're going to do. And the real Jet fans are going to, whether you like it or not, at the end of the day, you're going to, if you don't like it, you're going to hope you're wrong and you're going to root for them. Because that's what we're supposed to do. We're root for our team. So no matter what they do, you just go Jets, Jets, and you root for them.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy from Jets Chaos checking in with us here on the show. Kind enough to spare some time. Appreciate you all tuning in. Call into the show with the pinned comment or your rest of the questions in the chat. Let's go over the phone lines. Our guy DTN is up first here on the show. DTN, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, Connor. How are you doing?
Can't complain.
So yeah, I saw the title and I was like, you know what, I have to get on them because like this is one of the topics, one of the reports that I never got into. Like some of the reports, like if the Patriots should trade for Colton Miller or if the Patriots should trade with the Eagles to get AJ Brown. But this report particular, I have never heard of. And when it comes to like Patriots getting Armand Membu, in my opinion, I don't want Armand Membu because the problem with like transitioning from right tackle to left tackle is a tall task. And you could say like Armand Membu, he did really well in the combine and he showed that he could potentially be that guy to transition from the right tackle and left tackle. But I'm not convinced because we tried that experiment last season and it failed miserably. So this is one of the reports like, this is interesting. And this is the report that I might get into deeper like on Monday where I go on live stream and discussing this with some of my buddies.
Nice. Yeah. What I have to say about the Patriots, just to give a little intel on what I would do if I was Elliott Wolf, is you got somewhat of a stopgap option at right tackle in Morgan Moses.
Yeah.
Is he going to be the greatest right tackle in the league? Certainly not. But I just think you invested enough assets there. You can look in the second round to maybe get an Ariante Ursary type guy, someone that Jeremy and I landed in our mock draft. One of the later rounds, Ozzie Trapillo, obviously the Patriots Boston College connection there. Someone you could look at with your third round pick. I think a big thing is trying to, if Travis Hunter's there, add your pass catcher. I don't think you play him at wide receiver because obviously you have Christian Gonzalez locking down that secondary. Get your wide receiver one immediately, or even a guy like Abdul Carter who's going to provide juice for you off the edge. I think you need some help at the front of the defense, especially after releasing Jawan Bentley. I think that's what the Patriots should do.
Yeah, I like Abdul Carter from a Patriots point of view. Like the problem is I don't know what the Giants are going to be doing at number 3 because we don't know if they're going to be taking Shedeur Sanders or Abdul Carter. But if we get Abdul Carter, that's really good because you have him and then you have a Harold Landry on both sides. You can get the quarterback. With Travis Hunter, he's interesting because I heard reports saying that he's going to retire football if any team limits him to play.
I would love to see that happen because no team's playing him both ways full time.
Yeah.
So I would love to see him retire from football. DTM.
Oh yeah, I would love it. Another thing is like I know that I really wanted Will Campbell, and obviously there are a lot of rumblings of like with his arm length and how like the combine his arm length is different compared to his pro day. And I just remember today I watched the Patriots final mock draft on the Patriots official channel with Mike Dussault and Evan Lazar, two Patriot.com writers, talking of like who they should be picking at like number 1. I know Mike picked Will Campbell, and then Evan Lazar picked Armand Membu. So like I see like obviously a tackle for the Patriots. It's actually a must for the Patriots like heading into the draft. The question is like if we should pick Campbell or Armand Membu, or do you think we should like trade down with like one of the teams who need somebody better?
100%. DTN, appreciate the call as always. You got any final thoughts?
I gotta say, it was nice. It's nice chatting here, Connor. Always talking some Patriots connections with Jets. I know that I also have a YouTube channel, a Patriots Talk. You should join. I'll post it. Link in the chat, maybe. And obviously, alluding to what Jeremy says, like draft is like 5 days away, and I'm so excited for like what's in store for us for the draft.
DTN, appreciate checking in on the show. Great call as always. Appreciate your support. Follow DTN's channel if you like the Patriots. You want some NFL talk. Appreciate that as always, guys. Got any questions? Throw those in the chat. But let's go over to the phone lines. Let's go back to the phone lines. Excuse me. Our guy Charles is up next here on the show.
Hey,
Charles,
how are you, buddy?
Can't complain. How about yourself?
Good, man. That was an interesting draft you put together there. You traded with the Steelers for a couple of picks. That's awesome. So, here's the scenario that I would like. If Tyler Warren or Armand Membu are taken, I would rather trade down and probably gather up a couple more picks, especially maybe, I don't know about trading a few players, but.
What'd you say? Sorry, you cut out there a second.
I said I wouldn't mind trading down and grabbing a couple of other picks in the process. Would that be a good move to you?
100%. Even if Membu and Warren are both still there, Charles, trade down's my number one option. Again, I think the biggest thing is recouping additional draft capital for this team. Like, if you can get an additional one, even if you have to slide down to 24 with the Steelers, I think that's a big thing. Getting extra draft capital to fill holes, or getting draft capital next year to potentially try to make a move and trade up for a quarterback is like a dream scenario for me personally.
I understand. I don't think Cam Ward will be available for us, but
No.
who the hell knows? But we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about, Connor. Have a good day, buddy.
Charles, appreciate you checking here on the show. Short and sweet. Love those type of calls. Charles, the best. Appreciate your support. See you at the Asmaniac draft party. Only 5 days away. So if you're going, I'll be there. Say what's up to Chris, Jack, and I. We'll all be there hanging out, watching the draft with Jake and the Asmaniacs. So make sure you get if you're interested, RSVP to the party. I think it's like $35 a ticket. Should be a super, super fun night. So if you want to hang out with the Next Gen Jets crew, Jake Asman, definitely make your way to Clinton Hall on draft night. But anyways, like I said, appreciate your support. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Going to wrap up here a little over an hour on this Friday evening. Back tomorrow, 5 p.m. EST, Cole Thompson. 9:30 p.m. EST, Chris Grasso, and special guest Antoine Staley. So 2 guests, if you really think about it, because Chris and I, we have the show with Antoine, and then Antoine's joining us, and then Cole Thompson in his weekly spot. 2 more shows left with Cole, which is crazy to think until next draft season. We got the final mock draft tomorrow, and then we get to review the prospects the week after the draft. And then it's crazy that we're done with draft talk. It's wild to fathom, because I feel like I've mentioned on a few shows, unlike last year, I don't feel like I'm really, oh my God, we just need to get the draft today. I've kind of enjoyed the way draft season's progressed thus far, and it's crazy to think we're just only 5 days, 5 days away from the first round. So, hey, hopefully this team, Darren Mushi, Aaron Glenn, don't do anything dumb, and this team gets legit starters in the first few rounds. I think that's what we all hope, and that's what this team needs. Appreciate you guys, as always. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Like I said, back tomorrow, 5 and 9:30 p.m. Appreciate your support. As always, that'll do it for me. I am your host, Connor Long, signing off here on NY Flight Jets Talk. Enjoy Good Friday and happy Easter over the weekend to everyone who's celebrating. JTS, Jets, Jets, Jets.